Hello everyone. Let me just turn this a little bit up. Hello everyone, how you doing? How was the week? The final countdown. Yeah. Hello, Greybox. How you doing? Hello, circuit student. How you doing? Where are you joining from? Probably maybe it's late in your city or country. Uh, Descent. Oh, okay. I'm from Barcelona. I didn't know Descent, Colorado. Okay, great. Welcome. Hello. Yeah. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Naufal. I'm an MLH coach since a year ago or so. Probably you've seen me in some streams. Um, and yeah, today we're going to keep working on APIs. So a couple of days ago, if I'm not wrong, we wrote an API, just a basic one, and we did some authentication there. And today we will use the same API to add an extra layer for the testing. So for people that didn't watch that streams, you can watch them. I think in Twitch, maybe in Twitch, because I've been looking yesterday, and I don't know if there's the recent streams yet. But if not, you can go to YouTube, to the Naturally Hacking channel, and you'll find all the videos. Just go to the live tag window. Yeah, it's like videos, whatever, and live, and then there you will find all the best streams. Just watch them. They're just short videos, just a couple hours. Nah, just kidding. But you can just see the parts that you're interested in. It doesn't matter if you want to skip some intro because you already have some experience. But obviously, it's we try to do it as much inclusive as possible for the beginners, for intermediates and advanced people. So all we can learn. So yeah, let me share with you the screen first of all. Okay. So let me see if you can make it bigger. Okay. Yeah. If you have any question or you didn't watch the other streams, or there's something that you're still I don't know, I don't understand this exactly, don't hesitate to ask. Okay, feel free. Ask anything you want to know us, and I'll try to do my best. Sorry for my voice. I feel a little bit down, but let's try to make it uh, as good as possible. Okay, so this is the API we built the other day. Let me share with you the code. Okay, it's just a simple code. It has some authentication. Um, okay, it has some. Okay, basically, it was an API to create users, and then we added the extra layer of authentication and to check if the password exists, or the role of the user has admin permission or user permission. So depending on the permission, the user, the user with the request could authenticate itself and basically just update the users or whatever. So with the permissions. So yeah, if you missed this, just go back and watch it, because I'm just doing like a real quick recap here for new people. And yeah, basically some basic endpoints. If you used APIs before, if not, um, just let's go through real quick to some the request types. There's, as you can see, get request, post request, put request. Basically, Oh, okay. So basically, they're just methods. So there's, for example, the get request. This is like the most common one, and it's used to request data from the server. Basically, I'm just trying to summarize as simple as possible, and so new people and people that didn't watch that streams can just get a little bit of an idea. So, for example, when you want to get API, I don't know, for example, just to load information or get information, retrieve information. And there you have the post requests, and it's used basically to send the data to the server to create updates, a resource, and and there's the put. The put request is used to send data to the API to create or update an existing resource. Okay, so that's the difference. And the delete request is used to delete a single or list of resources. So yeah, it's mostly found, I would say, in RESTful APIs. So yeah, the the delete, let me see. Okay, the delete request must be, with precaution or precaution, caution. Okay, sorry, I sometimes it just mix languages. Because in Spanish it's precaución, but yeah, it's caution. So yeah, basically we'll go through just some basic types of API testing. So I think now, right now, we are like in the fourth day of Global Hack Week. Yeah, I'm fourth day or fifth. Sorry, I'm just lost. So I think everyone knows what an API does. So we will not go through the basics, but we will see basically this kind of API testing kinds. Okay, we will go. Yeah, day 5. Thank you, Circuit. Um, yeah, I will just go through each one of them. We're going to explain a little bit what are these strategies are, how they work, why to use them, and whatever. And after the, let's say, uh, um, the lesson, let's put it that way, we'll see a real code integration doing some testing on the API that we've already built. So the first one here is the function testing. So basically, function testing involves verifying that expected responses and data formats to a return giving a specific request. For example, so basically you send to an API a request and validate that the correct responses are returned. Okay, this is just as this basic. So it most of the time should be done to check that new and existing functionalities behave in the expected manner. You know, basically you just try to check. You make the request, and you with the response you just check the request format, let's say, and the status code of the response. Basically, a status code, it's this thing. Probably you've used some API on some hackathon or wherever. Basically, the status, it gives us the information. There's the 200, the 404, the 307, 304. There's a bunch of status code, so it should give you some kind of hint, depending. Because if you have a 404, you know that it's not found. Probably it's the most famous kind of error that we have. So yeah, basically that's it. Okay, just a quick summary. Then we have performance testing, and performance testing basically is a type of testing, as the name suggests, is used to verify that the API can handle large volumes of data and high traffic. So performance testing is used basically to measure the speed and responsiveness of the API. Okay, we will do an example if you want in the code. We will just check each request how much time it takes. So With that, we can then verify, for example, let's say we have an average response time for a certain uh, endpoint. Sorry, we have a certain like average response time. Let's say we have 1,000 requests per day, and 96% of them are being done in 1 second, or 0.5 seconds. And then we have another, let's say, 3% or whatever the rest is, that just keeps on a loop, and instead of 0.5 seconds, it takes 4 seconds. Okay, so that's like 8 times the average. So that we can see, maybe the request is not being done correctly. Maybe it's a public API and someone's not understanding the documentation and how it works, and maybe that person found a bug that it shouldn't occur. So yeah, basically the performance testing. And then we have the security testing. This type of testing basically verifies that the API is secure and can protect sensitive data and prevent unauthorized access. So we explained this yesterday. So, and unauthorized, it's not the same as let me see, let me show you the code, sorry, because I think it will be clear. Okay, so authenticate is not the same as authorize. Okay, I explained the difference yesterday. Okay, let me see if you can see the code. Uh, okay, it's big enough. So basically, authenticate is not the same as authorize. Authenticate is basically when you authenticate the user and say, hey, this user and this password, whatever, exists. And authorize, maybe that user can have access to the API, but doesn't have authorization to access some endpoints. So then you have to check that the user is authenticated with a token, as we explained, the user and password or auth 2.0, whatever. And then you have to check that it has authorization to see that data. Okay, so and this kind of testing, the security testing, basically security tests are executed to identify security issues in the API, such as cross-site scripting. We've talked about that too in the other stream. SQL injection, and yeah, basically that's the main reasons, and to check authentication and authorization controls. So yeah, and about the cross-site scripting and SQL injections, we've talked about that it's really important to verify the the data we're getting. Okay, so that's, for example, in our example, we used the Pydantic model. Basically, we created some 3 models, and then with basically we've checked that the model was, it made sense, so we don't get like data that we don't want to deal with. So yeah, let's move on. API documentation testing. Okay, this might sound a little bit weird, but basically this type of testing is used to verify that the API is easy to use and understand it, and it's performing as it mentions in the documentation. Basically, it ensures that the documentation accurately reflects the API's capabilities, and that all of the features are being properly integrated into the product we're giving, in this case, the API. So testers, with this kind of testing, basically testers make sure that the API returns the right data, that the parameters and values are properly set, and that the return data is the expected format. Basically, that's it. Uh, this is similar to the functional requirement document specification validation against the against it, I would say. So yeah, let's see. We have regression testing. So regression testing basically is used to verify that changes made to the API do not cause unexpected errors or regressions. Testing typically involves sending requests to an API using very different test parameters and ensuring that the appropriate response is sent back and any application or database logic is behaving as expected. So, and then we have the fault tolerance testing. Okay, this one's kind of sounds weird, but this type of test basically verifies the system's ability to respond accurately and promptly when unexpected failures occur. Okay, and this is done as a part of error handling scenario validation and how the API responds to inputs or requests that could potentially cause harm, such as denied of service attacks, input maybe that it's too large or complex to process, logic errors. So yeah, it's important to test these potential risks as it will provide insight into, you just checking if your API is robust. Let me see. Hello, sorry I'm late. Okay, no worries. No worries. Let me see. There's. I will show you some examples on. Actually, there's tools. Today we will be doing more like code intense testing on the API, but there's platforms that they keep track of your API basically and see if it's failing, if it's giving some non-response things and all that stuff. And that makes, well, I will show you one website, for example. This one, I don't know if someone knows it. It's called Uptime BetterStack, and basically what it does, as you can see here, it's a bunch of requests. Okay, this one's from Asia, this one's from Europe. Okay, sorry, this one's North America. So we can see here this one from Australia. And basically this is a website, for example, but you can there's a bunch of tools that you can just insert use your API as the input, and basically what it does, it just keeps throwing some requests to the API and seeing the responses. Okay, and it just says, hey, it was available 99%. 99.97% of the time, 2 minutes downtime, longest incident, average incident, whatever. So probably you can go to incidents, okay, and you can see here some incidents. And in this case, they are like timeouts, okay. So with this kind of tools, you can probably have some kind of view on what the API is doing. Or when I say API, API in this case, you can just use it with a website. Maybe you have a website and you cannot keep track of, monitoring the website. So you can just use this kind of tools. Okay. So just a note, and then we will see. Okay, now there's this one. Okay, it's called RecBin. Let me share with you the link. Can you see the screen? Probably it's too small, or can someone confirm? I can see it big, but sometimes due to internet connection and stuff like that, the quality really is bad. Okay, we have here a yes. Okay, thank you. So, okay, I can see good. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Here, for example, we have this API. Okay, it's not mine, to be honest. I just went to this website and I've seen like a bunch of them. Which one do you want to test, for example? No specs today. What do you mean no specs? Coast. I mean glasses. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have them here, but I just use them for code to code. Okay, but usually I don't wear glasses. So yeah. Thank you. Someone said Spotify. Let's go to. I didn't see Spotify, to be honest. I think someone's trolling me. Okay, let's try this one. Basically, I just want to show you the website. Okay, so this one, Data USA. Basically, we have here some data. Okay, so basically, this tool what allows you is to insert your API endpoint or request, and you just click send. Actually, well, you have to put the token, or if you have user or and password or whatever. But in this case, we have nothing. Okay, I think I just messed up something. Well, okay. So basically, what it gives you is some basic information. There's some more sophisticated tools than this one, but basically, it gives you the response. Okay, that's cool. So the headers, okay, that's cool too. We have here some more information. That's cool. And this is cool too. Okay, we have the JSON formatted properly and all that stuff. That's pretty cool. And we have the timings. Okay, so this is the most important thing I would say from this tool. And what I like the most is this like waterfall timing thing that gives you the whole process of the request and where it takes more time. Okay, so if you use MySQL database, you can, I think with MySQL queries, you can just see like the timeline and what it takes for each part of the query to run, so you can just detect what is, you know, where does it take so much time, most of the time, and you can just, you know, go just directly there, because sometimes it might take like double or triple just with this process, and you don't need to change everything, you just need to focus on that. Okay, let me see, we have a question here. Okay, hey, I wanted to ask something. I was creating a project in which front end was calling backend fast API Python, just a simple RESTful GET. Okay, call used Grok. Okay, but the request which was being received was options. Any suggestions? Okay, what I recommend. Are you using a public API or it's an API that you've built? Basic JSON. Okay, so I don't know exactly how it works in JavaScript, because there's something called promises, and it's a new world, to be honest. But I recommend you. Oh, you build your own. So where do you have hosted the API? Because sometimes do you see it? Okay, let me see. Can you see this thing here? The test course. Sometimes when it's off, when it's off, I don't know why, but sometimes I work on projects, personal projects and stuff like that. And when it comes to some kind of TypeScript code, and if it's enabled, it doesn't even work. Sorry, if it's enabled, it does not even work. So I don't know why exactly. Sorry, I cannot help that much with JavaScript. So yeah, if someone can give it respectfully some kind of hint, that would be awesome in the chat. Okay, so this tool, for example, you can use it. It's called RecBin. I sent you the link. It is cool, and yeah. So let me see here. So most of the people would say, "Oh, okay, that's kind of uh, I don't know, boring testing," because actually testing code is it's not the best thing a developer want to do, but it's really really helpful to test the API. Uh, Basically, it can help you to identify and eliminate most of the server level, let's say, server level errors. So, and API testing, to be honest, consumes you less testing time and testing cost than, for example, having the error and then everything's just timeouts and the user is not happy, everything's just crashing. So mm, sometimes it's just something, because let's see, for example, okay, you work on a project, or I've worked on a startup, and the code was basically just just random people. Well, not random people; it was employees, but just people doing things like they wanted. There was no format at all. There was no nothing was like homogenic. So everyone just okay. The code works. It worked. It was great. The website was great. The platform was great. And I think if you spend more time doing some testing, you can avoid losing time in the future or having some headaches. Because once the thing is getting bigger, bigger, and bigger and bigger, it's really, really re- uh, costly. Well, expensive. Let's say expensive to fix than just spending some more time doing some testing, writing good code, and that's it. So basically, you can test. You don't have to test your API with autonomous software or just some complicated assets in some testing and doing some code. You can just manually test your API before deploying the API or whatever. So let's call it explore testing. You just basically you explore the application to identify bugs. You just there's something called black box testing. You just send the request to the API and check if the desired output is received. In case of, let's call it, white box API testing, you as the tester usually try to find out and validate the API functions using the source code. That's kind of how manual it is. And there's you can check that with usability testing. This type of testing depends basically on the API structure. So basically, usability goal and basically you use it as the other as the name suggests, but the API structure has to be reliable and usable. Okay, so yeah, this testing basically is measurably uh, user centric, let's call it, and the testing is carried out by mimicking how the target user group will use the software, or it helps you to validate the product's function. How? Uh, okay, let me see here. You have a question. How are non-functional requirements like security tested for API? How are non-functional requirements like security? Do you mean like how security is testing works for API? Or so basically, okay. So basically, the most easy way to securely test your API is adding authentication and access control. Okay, there's something called granular access control, and basically, you imagine you have an API. Okay, and okay, let's for example see the case of, of Instagram or Facebook or Meta or whatever. Okay, they have a like literally all the information from the user, like every information, and there's one team of marketing that wants to access that data. Okay, so if you have granular access, basically means that each part of the code, oh sorry, each part of the in the database or whatever is access controlled. So for example, if you're in a specific team that you just need to see the ages of the users, you will just get access to the age of the users. You won't get access to their phone information or maybe their phone model or whatever. Okay, and the other way is protecting the data that's introduced in your API to avoid hackers from, I don't know, SQL injections and sorry, like injecting some code on the body, for example, of the request. Let's get the case that you don't have any kind of information validation, and you have an API that just takes the city, and then in the backend you have a code like MySQL request. Sorry, SQL query that is select all from cities where city is equal to city input. Okay, so let's say someone is just I don't know, uh, uh, inject some kind of SQL code right there, and you just give that to the backend to the MySQL query. That'll be kind of a mess. So just use um, input modeling and verification of the structure. Use Pydantic, it's called. It's, let me show you. Pydantic for Python, for example. It's basically one of the ways. If I schema models are simply classes which generate from Pydantic base model, define fields as annotated. Okay, and you just have like some kind of models that you pre-assign to each class, and you have like this one, for example, user. It has an ID and the name. Okay, basically this means that it's optional, and if you don't put the name, this one will be the default one, and etc. Okay, it's called Pydantic. It's pretty cool. You should check it. And in this way, at least you avoid getting data that it's not well prepared, let's say, for your backend or whatever. So yeah, that's my recommendation, to be honest. And yeah, so how you can test, like really hardcore test your API. Okay, for example, there's loads testing, because sometimes when you're working on an API or a project, you're just thinking about yourself or maybe someone else, like a friend of yours that will check that code on GitHub. But once you work on a larger level of 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 let's say an intensive usage of an API, you really need to take care of the load testing. Okay, this is mainly to see how the API functions under heavy traffic. So based on the requirements it involves simulating a large amount of request volume and checking the response output and response times, and looking out for errors. Okay, it is basically to check how the API operates under load. So I would say this is one of the most important ones if you have a large one. But I would say this is one of the easiest ones to test. Don't take me wrong; it's not easy, but it's something that doesn't depend on each other, and you can, well, yeah, it doesn't. There's a bunch of testing that obviously doesn't depend on each other's, but in this case, you can just simulate a bunch of different users and use cases. Okay, so it's not just the user, the use, but the users. Okay, I think I mentioned it wrong. Basically, you just get an API and you just throw that 200,000 million requests, and you just check the output. That's it. Okay, and then you can use the. Do you remember that we've talked about the timing, the performance thing, and the average time response, whatever? So you can just get some trillions. You can just load that under sandbox, let's say, not in production. Well, when I say in production, is when you deploy it and it's just available to everyone. But before, so you just throw a bunch of you. One of if you want to do it on production, you have the advantage that you know the usage of your API, and you can take just ranges of the day that no one's basically using the API. Okay, let's say that you have 3 requests per second uh, during the day, but maybe at 3 a.m. at night in the most intensive region, you have zero point 0.5 requests per second. Okay, so basically you can just take the batches of the day that there's basically no one using the API, just not to interfere in other requests. Because obviously, if you just triplicate or quintuplicate the requests to for the testing, you probably may cause some some uh, disturb on other real users that are paying probably to use your API, or maybe it's free and you're gentle. So yeah. Um yeah, I think that will be. So there's some companies that actually have a full team of the testing team or Q&A, sorry, QA uh, teams that test from the front end to the back end, the API, the end-to-end testing, everything. Okay, so, and it's kind of challenging too, because it's not easy to have a bunch of people testing some kind of API that a bunch of other people just build in a bunch of code with a bunch of endpoints and all that stuff. So basically, when you, let's say I build or my team build the API, whatever, and there's another team that needs to assure that everything's working fine. And checking the system integrations for API is a major task. Okay, so it's majorly focusing more on the API design to evaluate its performance and validate each and every response to check if all the API calls are working properly. And sometimes the documentation, for example, it's not the best. Okay, Farawa, hey Farawa, and the documentation is not the best. So sometimes the team itself, if you don't write good documentation for the testing team or for the user, or whoever's using the API, you might have some problems, for example, with the testing, because the team cannot know how exactly each endpoint works. What are the required parameters, the optional parameters, how these parameters must be returned, whatever. So really good documentation you need. And yeah, so basically you have to set correctly the required checkpoints, and basically it's necessary to avoid some kind of security or stability issues. And yeah, I think that's all. Do you have any question? If you don't have any question, we should go to the code. I have. Let me see. No questions? If there's no questions, I would just go with the last point that I wanted to just to mention some good practices, or at least recommendations to to test the API, if even if it's just a small one. The first one will be testing early and often. Okay, this is quite simple, and it's basically just the test should be done early and frequently, basically to discover any possibility faults. Okay, best practices. Okay, thanks for the comment, Farawa. Okay, first of all, get your notes. Test early and often. Okay, so basically it's testing the API early and frequently to discover any possible faults. Before they call it turn the fault. No, what? Yeah, turn possible faults before they convert into crisis, something like that. I don't remember. So once we have the sample responses or endpoints from the developers, for example, if we are the testing team, we can start playing around and try to understand the response and how it's related to the, I don't know, the UI values that we get, the fields that the input is required, and yeah. Let me see. Any specific tools for us beginners? So one of the tools, it's Recbin that I've shared before. Okay, let me see. This one, for example, it's kind of easy to see how at least the timing works and how the responses are, retrieved. And I can share with you some at the end if you want. I can look for some because I was trying. Oh, and for example, this kind of tools, it's called BetterStack. You can basically track the uptime of your the uptime of your website, of your API or whatever. You can use more advanced ones like Grafana. I don't know if you heard about Grafana. So this one, it's a great tool to integrate everything, your database, your API, your data sources, everything, and just check everything if it's going good, bad, get the traces, get the logs, if there's some kind of problem with the connection of your database or whatever. So it's a pretty tool too. Okay, yeah, let's go with the recommendations. Use automation. Okay, it's good to manually reproduce some errors on the API, and it's pretty cool to have some, some handy tests. But don't stop with testing like each endpoint individually. Okay, and automation should be utilized, used, um, should be to basically decrease the amount of time and effort necessary to test it. So try to automate and build your test suite, so you can just throw the test every time there's a deploy or some new changes. You can even combine this bunch of techniques. You can just have some kind of, I don't know, monitoring logs system, for example, like Grafana, BetterUp, or whatever. You just um, have all that stuff there. You get the logs. Every endpoint that's failing, you can just get, hey, this endpoint had 25 404s in the last day. Maybe something's wrong. Okay, so you can go to the endpoint, see what it's doing. Maybe if it maybe the endpoint is retrieving some kind of data from the database, and the issue is now with the endpoint itself, or it's with the database, and maybe there's the SQL query is taking too much time to process, and then it gets a timeout. The timeout gets no information, and then there's no JSON to process. You have an index out of range in some kind of, some kind of code that you were expecting some kind of JSON information there. So it's really important just to just test with everything that you have in your hands. And if you get that done, and you have some automation testing in the code, testing when you deployed everything, and that would be pretty cool. So yeah, test all the endpoints, even if there it's some endpoints that are not commonly used, but sometimes making some changes in some endpoints or some data structures, or even some fields on some kind of endpoint, it just mess up all the other endpoints. And if someone uses the endpoint that was never used, supposedly, then we will have these kind of problems. I'm talking about you have to think about this not only if you have an API, but if you use, I don't know, let's say sell, you're selling the API, or you're getting some kind of money for the requests. That's a mess, because if I let's say you're paying Google Maps API, okay, just to get some kind of directions from A to B, and then every 5 hours, or I don't know, every 100 requests, you get 3 failed ones, or maybe 12. That's like 12% of the requests are failing. And probably if you're someone that's paying for the service, you won't be happy, and probably you'll say, hey, let's see another alternative, because this thing sucks, basically. Okay, so it's just when you're using a website and it's like really laggy, it doesn't work fine, everything's just a mess. You have ads, pop-up ads everywhere, whatever. I just literally, personally, I just close the website, and I try to not go back again there in my whole life. Okay, so that's how important it is to have a good website or API, or a good service at least. So really make sure, if you in the future build a startup, or maybe someone is trying to do something, or trying to build a startup or whatever, try doing the best as you can, write the code as best as you can, spend more time if you need into the code, um and yeah, just try to make it better. Let me see, we have a question. Can you please suggest a good resource for installing SQL Alchemy on Ubuntu? To be honest, I don't know. SQL Alchemy. Let me see. Let us see and learn what this is, because maybe we will be using it in the future. The database toolkit for API. Object relational member. Oh, okay. I don't know. Did you try with their official documentation? Probably that. Sorry, I've never used it, but probably if you see the documentation, you'll have some clues. If someone in the chat has some clues and can help ethical code, please share with them the code. Well, the tip or whatever. So, what else? We were going from tests. Yeah, that's it. Let's just quick recap. Just test everything anytime. Just security. Use some kind of tokens, some kind of authentication, authorization. Give access. Delete access from. See the usage of users. Okay, you can just with the data of the users. Okay, just with anonymous data. We don't need to see the information from the user, but we can see the request they made and how that requests have gone. Okay, the errors, the times, everything. So yeah. Now let's go. Let me see. I tried, but it was just a mess. I feel I should try once more. Yeah, try once more. If not, ask on Discord, and probably someone will be more than happy to help. And aside of that, technically, there's some non-technical challenges when it comes to API testing. As I said before, the lack of API documentation or proper API documentation, and the testing teams need to be aware of all the parameters. And when I say testing teams, it can be your friend that's a developer, and you try to develop an API and say, hey, try to find some issues here of the parameters of the API, their types, the range of valid values, for the data validation. And this information should be available in the proper documentation, and it should be updated. Okay, because I've seen a lot of documentation that's outdated a lot. When I say a lot, is a lot. Even in big companies, there's a lot of documentation, so it's pretty important to have that updated somehow. Now there's some kind of AI libraries and AI software that basically what they do is they try create documentation for you. Okay, that's pretty cool. I don't know the kind of success rate of that. I don't know the success rate of that kind of AI generative documentation for code. But I've talked with some teammates and they used some of them, so probably they will be quite fine. And another problem and challenge I would say is addressing edge cases. Basically, when teams are testing APIs, often they struggle to find like unexpected or edge cases, which could be potentially lead to unexpected behavior in production. So it happens sometimes when you're in an app or something and there's like a glitch and something just, and you try to replicate that and you're not even capable of replicating that because it's something that just happens in that moment that it's really, really difficult to reproduce. And yeah, that's something. And I'll go with the last one, I would say, and we'll just go to the code, and it'll be basically test data and API combinations. Okay, just try to get all the data you have, all the data you can test with, all the endpoints you can test with. Just combine the data as much as you can. somehow just try to get, when you test something, okay, thinking about this. Don't try to test it like, okay, I've made this. It's really cool. I'm really good coding, so it must not fail. Okay, so when you try something, okay, just it's a personal tip for you. Test it like it's something that you want to break. Okay, think like someone that wants to break it. Like you don't like it. You need to find something that to just break it. Just break it. Okay, so that's the tip. Just break it, because if you don't think about you don't think that way, someone will. Okay, and there's some hackers thing or whatever going on, but just try to just break it. That's the tip for you. Okay, so now let's go to the code. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. Now you have some kind of introduction. Okay, so okay, we have here some question. Okay, how do you test such an edge case that is difficult to recreate? You cannot. Okay, okay. I'm just talking from my experience. Okay, and I will tell you in this case is what I've done. So that's why logging is really really important. Do you know that kind of sometimes when you're debugging, you see like this? It's called stack trace. Okay, basically logs log everything, every error, every just have some exceptions, everything. So for example, when I see there's at least in my experience, I've seen some endpoint that it's uh, that it's really really messed up. We don't even know. Sometimes you just spend hours and with your team colleagues and just what happened. You don't even know, and sometimes you solve the issue and you don't even know how to reproduce it. And that's because you have the logs, you have the errors, you have the stack trace, what function caused this kind of error, and then you can just follow the line from, okay, this broke here, okay, in this function. So this function was called from here, okay, and this was called from here, and here we have this data, this input. So this API request just got this body. So this body, there's something strange with the body fields. Let's see the fields. Let's try to create another like the same exact request with the same fields, trying to change things. Basically, it's just like having a stone and just click, 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 and just trying to break the stone. So basically, my recommendation is just logs, save everything if there's any issue, except exceptions, whatever. And then if when you have this kind of errors that's not reproducible, or that is something really really strange, you just can go back and go back and go back until it worked. So you start from there and, okay, this one worked. Okay, so this function returned this, and then this return was sent to this other function, and it did this and it did that, and you just can did, and that's it. So yeah, that's my personal recommendation. If someone has another one, put it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to read it. Uh, mm, for this. Okay, so yeah. So okay, let's go to the code. I see someone has the question answered. Okay, let's go. So as I was saying, quick recap. Basically, this is an API that authenticates, authorizes users, and basically what it enables you to do is to just add users, update users, and delete users. Okay, let me check if it's running right now. To show you. Okay, so Python. Okay, it's port 8000. I think it's the same. Okay, it's the same one. Okay, so as we said, this API allows only Pranav to uh, to get users. Okay, I think yeah. Okay, so we have here the roles. It's admin Pranav with password pass. Okay, let me see. Okay, so here we have Pranav with the password pass, the role admin. Oh, sorry. So my not this question is not. Oh, okay. I just saw it. Yes. All for this one project. Are there any automation tools or libraries? Yeah, you can use. You can use Sentry. Okay. It's called. I'll recommend you to use Sentry. Sentry. Okay, not this one. Okay, this one. I recommend you this one. It's really cool. I don't know if there's any kind of student package or something just for you to learn. I think at least as far as I know, should. Oh, okay. So there's a free pack. So if you want to start playing with it, I really recommend Sentry. There you have Grafana too, but it's kind of more complex. You can use the Google Cloud um, logs and but it's kind of if you're more if you're looking for more beginner friendly tool, I would say Sentry. It's pretty cool. Okay. Last session. Thank you so much. I'm kind of new here. Got to know we can win some stickers. Can anyone help me? To be honest, I'm not sure if I can answer, but ask in the Discord channel. Uh, so probably someone will help with that. Sorry, or maybe in the today in Global Hack Week, the daily session. Uh, you can ask. Okay, thank you. And let's go. So basically, Pranav has permission to pass. Okay, sorry. Let's go. I have another question. Right now, what you using? I mean, which application? Right now, okay, I'm using Postman. Like, do you mean like really right now, like for the API? I'm using Postman. As you can see, here's the name Postman, and Visual Studio Code for the code. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Way Codes. So there you got. There you got. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's go. So we have the code. Now what we want to do, do you remember that we wanted to make some kind of, let's see, performance check, okay? There's something in Fast API that's called add middleware. Basically, we can just try to see how the performance is, the time it takes. So basically, we can add the performance middleware from the Fast API and see how performance middleware. Let me see. Sync quest self app. Okay, let me see. Not this one. I would say start time. Okay. Okay. So there's if I'm trying just that's end time. Okay, and then we'll just print request processing. Okay, I think I have to import time here. By the way, this code I will upload the code later on GitHub, and I will send you the the link. So don't worry about that. So this should be working. Let me check. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see if we just create a request here. Okay, just let me put this here. Oh, okay. So we're getting the seconds. Okay, at least we having some kind of information. Let me just check. Okay, so we're getting the seconds. Let me see if you can. Let me check if you can see properly. Oh, okay. So we getting the seconds that it took to process to make the request. So with let me check this one for example. Okay, something's missing. Password. Field missing. Okay, let me see. Role. I think it's the role. Well, we'll check that afterwards. So, okay. So now with the puts, probably should be wrong too. Okay, because we've changed the data structures. The other stream, I think, from the Pydantic, but in this case, we're just interested in this one, for example. Okay, we have a question here. Is this VS Code for Mac? Yeah. Thanks for Farala for answering. But yeah, you can have for Mac too. Okay, so now we've tested. Just let's see if with the response time you can get some. Let's see how we can break this. Okay. Let's add in the get user. Well, I think we cannot break it, but at least we can time sleep 5 seconds. Okay, let's see if this should be okay. So this kind of errors that you're having here is really useful. Okay, so try to get as much as information as you can. For example, if you let's say you have an API and you just got a bunch of errors like this. At least, for example, in this case, you have the endpoint. In this case, with the ID. So this is helpful, but sometimes it's in the body, and sometimes you need like the code stack trace. So that's why it's really useful to use tools like Sentry in this case. So let's go back to the API and run this again. So now it will take some time because there's the time point sleep. So now it takes 5.01 seconds. It makes sense because without the point, it took less, I think. Oh, okay, yeah. 0.01, 0.01, 0.01. Yeah, it makes sense, more or less. Yeah, it makes sense. So basically, I recommend you to add some. It's basically like 4 lines of code. Let me see where it's add middleware. Okay, so if you go, let's go. Fast API. So here you can see some documentation on how to use it. You can add application that works with every request before it's processed by any specific path operation, and also with every response before it's running. It takes each request that comes, blah, blah, blah. So it's really useful, okay? So you can check all the functions that Fast API gives you, because there's some great and cool, they have literally everything. Handling errors, cookies, saving, storage, uh, a bunch. Okay, let's see security if they have any. Oh, okay. So testing. Thanks for. Okay. Test client. Okay. Okay. So here you have some great information about testing. Let me see. Okay, let's basically you can. Okay, let me see. Let me see if we can test some. Let's see if we can create some kind of test here. Now I think now I need the glasses. Someone mentioned before. Yeah, I'm an oldie. I'm an oldie. Okay, now we can see. Let me see. There's a question here. Oh, okay, it's a recommendation. Also, VS Codium, which does not contain telemetry, had issues with GitHub Copilot on it. However, it's still an option. Yeah, of course. There's a bunch of options. In my opinion, VS Code is the best one. It doesn't really consume too much memory. It's really versatile. It has everything. There's a bunch of plugins that you can play with. There's a bunch of themes. So yeah, 100%. Okay, let's try to make a test, like a unit test that you would do in. Okay, let me see. Can you see it? Okay, now now we should import our requests in this case because we need the requests, and import unit test. Okay, let's call it test API. Let's call it test. Well, okay, sorry, I just have let me see. Okay, this is not good. Okay, just move the code here. Yeah. Okay, test self. Let's create a setup first of all to set up everything we need. So in this case, self that base URL will be localhost 8000, and then we have the self. Let's call it admin credentials. It was Pranav, I think. Yeah, Pranav. And the password was pass. Yeah. Okay, so Pranav, and then we can add self that user credentials. Okay, I think it's called Kosu. Okay, and Kosu. So what else we can add here? We can add. Let me just check this. So we have the credentials, the best URL. Oh, okay. Now we can add any invalid credential that we don't have, like invalid credential. Let me move the chat here. Okay. So now we have an invalid credential, for example. Let's see. Yeah, invalid and invalid password. Okay, so let's go. First of all, we define authentication. Well, for more like a nomenclature, let's call it test authentication success. Self, and the response will be get. Here we have the method get users. The auth will be self admin credentials. Self equals response assert equal response status. It's okay. Okay, let's try this one. Let's try this one. I don't know exactly the test name. Oh, okay, let's see. Let's try. We don't lose anything. Python 3. Name that test. Okay, so we have an error that has not attributed base URL. So it has no. Yeah, of course it has. What do you mean? It doesn't have. It doesn't make sense. So you have the setup. So in this case, what we can do is just the um, okay, we'll see that in a moment. Why it doesn't have something. Itself. Let's see, base URL. Why there's no okay, just another one. Sell that base URL. Let me check this one. It's E. Okay. So format. Okay, this is cool. Okay, just let me check this in a moment. Okay. I'll check. Just give me a moment. I will ask to our friend ChatGPT to see if it has any kind of clue of what's going on. To be honest, I don't want to spend time on Stack Overflow right now. Okay, it seems there's a typo in your code. Your method for setting up the test is called setup lowercase, but you okay. Okay, let's see. Let's see the new one. So this one should work as it said. There's okay. Okay, yeah, now it makes sense then. There it was a typo. Yeah, now it makes sense. Basically there's a typo in your code. The method for setting up the test is called setup with lowercase s, but in your code you spell it as setup with uppercase. Okay, so yeah, this was it. So it's set up in lowercase for the folks. Okay, so now okay, let's try with invalid credentials. Okay, now it's failed. Okay, now it makes sense. We have a 401. I think this is 401. Let me see the code. 401 response code. I don't want to give you a wrong answer. Indicate that has not unauthorized. Okay, yeah, unauthorized indicates that request has not been applied because it lacks valid authentication. Okay, So now it makes sense. So in this case, we can just do the same function, okay? But in case instead of authentication success, failure, now we use the invalid credentials. So yeah, this is the authentication. So we can check the authorization, and basically we can just test authorization. Okay, so let me check. Sure. Testing authorization. I don't know. These are credentials. Let's run it. Let's see. There's no better way than running the test. Okay. Okay. So testing authorization failure. Okay. So we have no errors. Okay. The 3 tests are run okay. So it's cool then. So now what we can try. Let me see if we can kind of get the user. Do you have any question? Let me see. Is there a recommended resource for referencing response codes? If there's any resource for referencing response codes, do you mean like checking if the response codes, what it means, or let me check that for you, and for all API response codes list. I think okay. I think this one should. Oh yeah, yeah. I just found this one. It looks like really detailed. Let me check with you here. Let me check with you here, and for all the folks, I just found this one. That it's has like 1xx 100. It's a continue 101 switching protocol, processing web dev, blah blah blah, and then probably you can find here 401 unauthorized and 403 unauthorized request. Like the client does not have access rights to the content, so etc etc. And yeah, I'll say I would say this one. It's kind of complete. Actually, there's not 1,000 error codes. There's a bunch of them, but not 1,000. So you can even create your own error codes in your code. It sounds kind of strange, like or code, but you can actually create some internal errors for you for exceptions, and you can just create an exception called can use race in this case here, for example, blah blah blah. Can you see here this race? Oops, sorry. I'm just trying to do it bigger. This race, for example, you can create your own race codes, and you just return your own customized, let's say, race. You can just create a new one called race login. Oh, this one, yeah, login error, invalid credentials, whatever. Code is unreachable. Okay, because it's unreachable because we already have this exception here, so it just pops up. So it's not defined. Obviously, you need to define the exception, but yeah, you can use your own error codes, and yeah, let me see. When you create your own, can you use a standard error such as 404, or must the code be previously unused? So basically, you can, for example, this one. This is a 401. Okay, it's an HTTP exception. This one is not mine. It's already an exception that it's created.
and you can use it, and you can add some details here. For example, invalid credentials, or user is not authenticated, must be registered. I don't know, registered first. Here you can create your own customized error, and this one is the exception itself. So you can create your own exceptions, or you can use exceptions that already exist. For example, login whatever from other libraries, and just add your own customized details message, just for you to know, um, just to be aware of what's going on. Because sometimes if you use the same exception 25 times with the same details error or description, it can be a mess. So yeah, can I drink some water? Sorry. Um, um, okay. Okay. So yeah. Do you have any question resources? Let me see. Ben. Yeah. Thank you, Way Codes. I didn't know. I thought it was a question. Yeah. Thank you. I think from here I cannot ban anyone. So yeah. Thanks, Way. Okay. Let me see, because someone asked for some kind of resource. Let me see if I missed something here. So basically, the test we've made here, okay, it's basically like testing. Well, it's like unit testing, but for you can obviously make it really more complex once you reach another level of development of your API, and you can actually connect to the database. You can mock, for example, this data here is mocked. Okay, so basically we just hard coded the data, just made, just a couple of examples, and this you can do this getting real data from database, MySQL database, or maybe you can create a testing database on Mongo or whatever, and you can just get all the data from the database. You can try to make this as dynamic as you want, and just try with a bunch of uh, data. Okay, so this one is quite simple. It was just to show you a real example on how to test it in the code. So obviously we've talked all this more than an hour and a half about about testing it manually. Just in terms of security, we did something with security, how to add authentication and authorization. Remember, it's not the same. Okay, a lot of people ask. It's not the same. Authentication, it's basically knowing the user who's connecting, and authorization is what it has access to. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's really important. Don't confuse the terms. Sometimes are confusing at the beginning when I started learning about them. Uh, it was kind of confusing for me, at least personally. Maybe someone just catch it really quick, but yeah. Mm, so yeah, um, let me see here. I can see there's no questions. Just get out this here. And if you want to learn about testing, will this code be available online? Said and done. Okay, I will just upload this code. Git add, git commit, uh, testing on, I don't know. Oh, sorry, testing API. Let's go. There you go, all yours. Let me just send you the file from GitHub. I think I have a repo git. I have a repo somewhere I created to share with the folks some code in the other session, and it was this one. Just some random repo. There you go. Hope it helps. You can just clone the repo and try to fix the main.py. Do whatever you want with it. Just play with it. Feel free. And what I was saying was, you can actually, if you want to start learning, try to get some APIs online. For example, this website that has a bunch of examples, and try to test them by yourself. Okay, try to find, think like a good hacker, let's say, and try to find as much bugs as possible. Because probably if you want to learn, it's kind of counterintuitive, but it's better learning from APIs from, let's say, noobs or beginners or whatever, than corporate APIs. Because probably with a noob, I call it noob, but I mean a beginner API, you'll find a lot of issues, a lot of security breaches, and you can just help out someone and say, "Hey, I just found your API. It's nice, and I found these bugs here, so so you can fix it, or you can even help to fix it." So yeah. Okay, we have another resource. Thank you, Indranel Molakoluri. uh, Kind of large name. I think maybe it's the name and the surname together. But yeah, thank you so much for the resource. I assume for the link, it's a valid resource. So go check it. Just call me Ni. Okay, Ni. Yeah. So yeah, what I was saying, just test every API you find. Go to GitHub, explore, see trending APIs, projects, and just try to test them. Try to make some good testing. Try to first of all, before you start testing, try to understand what it does. You can call me Pranav. Okay. So yeah. And yeah, that will be. Do you have any more questions? Oh, Indrani, just saw these comments. Thank you so much, Indra. Oh, sorry, Ni. It was Ni. Sorry. Uh, Let me see if I missed something. I am following your session since MLH API week inception. Okay, that's pretty cool. Thank you for the support. So yeah, I think I will. If there's no more questions, I will. You have the access to the code, and yeah, if you have any question, just pop it on the comments. I'll try to help as much as I can. It's time to go to eat. Probably you won't know, but I'm Muslim, and it's Ramadan, so it's kind of late here. So kind of hungry. The last day, so. Okay, so time to eat soon. Yeah, actually, it was like 25 minutes ago, but I will just finish the session and go directly to it because I'll be awake for like, I don't know, 16 hours without eating anything. So that's why the energy right now is kind of low. Sorry for that. So I hope you learned something new. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you uh, had fun. I would love to see your next projects, and to check in on the next streams to see if you tested your code, if you made something great. And yeah, if there's no more questions, I'll just leave you. Um, Eid Mubarak. Yeah, today's the last one. Today it's just party and eating. And thank you, Way Codes, for the banning, for the support and everything. Thank you so much for the great comments. And see you in the next session. Will be tomorrow, and we will see more. It will be more chilled. Don't worry about that. You won't have to code some tests. I know testing it's not something that everyone wants to do, so it will be more focused on API test cases and some great things. So hope to see you tomorrow. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for the support, and hope you have a great day. Thank you so much. Have a great day.